Hey everyone, welcome back to the Spark Faith podcast. I am Dr. Chris Sargent, and today we are talking about intermittent fasting. Still a foodie thing or not a foodie thing, right? We're going to talk a little bit about fasting. We're going to talk about intermittent fasting. So, the first thing is, what is fasting? Traditionally, it has been all about abstaining from food, right? And there are lots of reasons to fast. We can talk all about the religious reasons that people fast. Um, Jesus did prayer and fasting in the wilderness to get in touch with God and as a sacrifice. So there's a lot of religious things around it. And there's some personal reasons, like some people just want to take the distraction of food off the table for a certain amount of time in order to spend that time in prayer instead. And so there's a lot of different reasons, and one of the health reasons that we do it too actually is to give your digestive tract a little bit of a rest. Now, if you've restricted and restricted and restricted and restricted and now you're fasting, we need to make sure that there's not some sort of eating disorder also associated with that. However, if you're just going to give your digestive tract a break because you just went out on a huge bender for a weekend, it might be a good idea. The other really good reason is type 2 diabetes, and type 2 diabetes that hasn't been controlled well, or you're having a hard time getting it controlled, right? And you really want to do it through diet, but your A1C seems to be saying high, and your morning glucose is high, and your all your fasting glucoses are staying too high. Um, over that 120, 130, 140, 150. Like we want to keep that, and definitely anything over 160 to 180, because then you're going to start having kidney damage. So, type 2 diabetes, Jason Fung is the guru guy, Dr. Jason Fung. He's a kidney specialist from Canada who wrote a huge book about fasting. Um, and so, yes, I use fasting in the practice for certain reasons and for certain conditions. So it can be a really good thing. So what about this intermittent thing where you um, don't eat anything for 16 hours and you eat for 12, or you're off 12 and 12, or not 16 and 12, 16 and 8, sorry. Or you're 12 and 12, 8 and 16. Like what is that all about? Well, first of all, I want you to assess what is your goal in delaying your food in the morning. What is the goal of that? Because if it's just meal skipping, we know that meal skipping doesn't always work well, particularly for females. So, if it works well for you, that's great. Remember, every body is a different body. So I'm not here to preach one way or another. I'm just here to educate. I'm not leaning in one direction or another. So what is your goal? If it's weight loss and this is working for you, then stick with it. If it's weight loss or it's meal skipping so that you can eat more later, that might not be a great thing. The other thing that I've seen with intermittent fasting is you're doing all this fasting, but then you break your fast. Instead of with a nice clean protein and veggies during weight loss, you break your fast with, like, yeah, McDonald's or fried chicken or something. Like that's not the way it works. So just being straight up here, good intermittent fasting needs to be clean eating on the other side in order for your body to actually get the benefits of that intermittent fasting. If you throw some heavy big thing in your body right after you've fasted, that just gunks up the system and it doesn't really accomplish what you want it to accomplish. So what's your goal in the intermittent fasting? Oh, one thing I need to add about fasting and intermittent fasting is that it can be really, really good for neurological conditions. And so you can get a much clearer head. It can really help some people who have epilepsy. Like there's a lot of good reasons to try fasting and intermittent fasting along the way. And yes, mango is, in and out here. Okay. So anyhow, um, for me, intermittent fasting was an absolute disaster. I was too hungry, hangry, like just didn't work. I've always been for my own body, I've always been one where small meals through the day worked much, much better than me fasting and then overeating later. Like it just doesn't work. So it's not for everyone. In my experience, men do a really good job with it when they can make the appropriate choices during their feeding time, right? Like if it's noon to 7 or noon to 6, like during or noon to 8, like making really healthy choices during that time, it can be an absolute like win for many men. Women, it's a hit or miss for women, and I'm just here to say, that's just my experience. Um, you know, 10 or 15 years of doing some intermittent fasting, playing around with it. That's been my experience. So there you go. There's the tea on fasting and intermittent fasting, at least kind of broad overview of it. If you have questions, hey, reach out to me. I'm happy to answer them. And you can set up a consultation if you want to talk even in more depth or you have bigger questions. I'm happy to do that. So, shoot me a DM and let's chat. All right. Blessings, you all. Enjoy your Friday because this is Friday, and have a fabulous weekend. Blessings. Bye.